Problems come up here all the time. Let me rephrase that.
A 31 Ford is a straight up history lesson.
And it rides like it doesn't have suspension.
Right. They got an antique coffee roaster.
This thing's massive right here. I don't know how that's gonna fit in the back of the truck.
So we need to build them a trailer. It's gonna look good, sound good, and it's gonna smell pretty good too. I still get excited when a big build like the 68 GTO comes together.
And that's like the coolest set of wheels I've ever seen.
Looks like a blue sky.
No, that's a hog, boys.
We're not looking for fuel efficient. We're looking for power.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
The 68 GTO body is back from Media Blast. And man, it's pretty good shape. The owner's two brothers dropped this car off a while back. You know, it was looking good, in good shape, but you don't really know till all that paint and body work's gone and you get it back from Blast. Next up, we're gonna get it over to the body shop and then paint. Meanwhile, we finished most of the metal work on this ground up build. Hand making a custom chassis, suspension, and a completely one-of-a-kind engine bay. The frame and suspension just came back from powder coat. So up next, we're gonna assemble the rolling chassis and run all those lines.
Grab that. Using my head. Got a rear diff for the GTO. Stabbing the pumpkin right now. Thank you very much. Next, I'm gonna put the seals in. Then I'll go ahead and slap my axles in. Then we'll be ready to install it. One of my favorite parts is actually when everything starts coming together. You start seeing, you know, components come back from powder coat. We have paint going on right now. You get to see that much more of it, just a little bit closer, just a little bit more. You know, you start to see something evolve. You get to see exactly how much work it takes to get to this point right here. You know, what it's gonna start looking like. Okay, so I got everything installed on my rear end now. I got the pumpkin in, I got my axles in, I got my link bars on. Last thing is, go ahead and put my coilovers on. Once I put my coilovers on, this thing will be ready to roll. All right, so we've got the wheels now for the GTO. Now we have this polished and this raw look. I mean, kind of really sets it out, especially against this black frame. Man, they're just the wheels to fit this car. What do you think about the switch arms?
I think it's pretty cool, the way it's concave like that.
Also, the Nitos, you know, there's gonna be a real sticky tire on here with that big motor. Really like the way the cap covers everything too. It looks seamless. Next thing is we'll be putting the body on this thing soon. When this thing's done, it's gonna be a head turner.
You know, the owner of the car wanted a light blue-ish color, so I'm just gonna try to pick that perfect color that really is gonna make this car stand out amongst all the other ones and make it really, really cool. Man, I think everybody has been to a car show or in a parking lot where they walk by a car that catches their eye. You can tell somebody spent a lot of time and a lot of money on a specific car, but you look at it and go, man, it just, that's cool, but the color's wrong. And that's what we don't want to happen ever. So it takes a certain eye to pick that certain color. So that's the critical stage of a build like this. There's a ton of light blues and all these color chips that we have, man, but I think this one right here is gonna fit that GTO perfectly. Man, it's just got that right little flip of color, small hint of metallic in it. the sun hits this color on that car, people are gonna know that, you know, that isn't just any old GTO. There's something special about it.
All right, so we're at my favorite part of every build, and now we got the wheels on, which are awesome. That's like the coolest set of wheels I've ever seen. But before we put the body on, I want to do all the lines, which is way better with not having anything in your way. Most of the chassis that I do is always a bunch of airlines. This one, we got brakes and fuel. So do the brakes first, and then I'm going to do the fuel. Yeah, not bad. Finding your best route to run the lines is always best for maintenance because, you know, if I ever have to take these apart for any reason, I don't want to be jammed up to where I got to cut or remove a body or whatever. I always like to run down the edges of the frame rails. I think that looks cleanest. Never like to be on top because the body's always so close and I don't want to pinch anything ever. Once I cut the line, I'll be ready to flare. This is called a flaring tool. This is a cheater one. The other one's the old-timey people. Old-timey people, I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. They almost look like a little butterfly knife, actually. Like, open it up. A little wing nut on it. This is like the, like you can't mess it up version. And watch, I'm gonna mess it up. I'll mess this up. Just so it's not one piece. Cranking the hole. Oh, it's the wrong way. How'd you do that, dude? Just do this, just bend a perfect 180. You know, the stainless line, it takes a little bit more time, but the end result is way better. Oh yeah. You can grab you some rubber line and do it real fast and careless, but with everything else you do, why skimp on that? It's also a lot of fun doing this. It's a little bit different every single time, so I like it. It looks pretty good. All right, so we got all of our brake lines done now. We're ready to drop the motor and trans in this thing and do our fuel lines. Once we get that done, then we can drop the body on this car and we start moving forward on all that good stuff.
What's up, fellas?
Hey, what's going on, Bill? How you doing, man? Greg, nice to meet you.
Rex.
Nice to meet you guys,
Nice to meet
man.
you.
What y'all doing today, man? Out cruising around an old truck?
All the way from Florida, man.
Oh, man, you didn't drive this from Florida. Come on.
No, it would have taken us about 4 days.
All right.
We only drive at about 35, 40 miles an hour, something like that.
So what year is this?
1931.
31, man. That is something you definitely don't see every day. It looks very well taken care of, man.
This guy right here, man, maintenance team and Rex, they do an awesome job. This truck frame came out of an old barn in Houston. The old Maxwell House plant here in Houston rebuilt it through the plant team in the 80s. They redid it again in the 90s to make it more roadworthy, and now we're kind of bringing it back to where it started to really take it to the next level. So it's kind of neat that I got to come home.
Man, this is real cool. So you want to take this truck and just bring it up to date.
Make it
one
safe,
more time.
reliable, and good for years to come.
Pay tribute to the heritage, but at the same time, add your touch, your style to modernize it and get people excited about the brand, our truck, have it really stand out at parades and events, and people get excited about it.
Man, I love it. You know, one of the first things we need to do is upgrade the suspension. Those leaf springs and everything look cool, but I know they ride horrible.
And it rides like it doesn't have suspension.
Right. We put modern axle underneath the back with a 4-link and install air suspension on it. So you can put whatever in the back and still have that ride quality and that some adjustability also. You know, in the front, cut all that out, put independent front suspension so we can put modern brakes on it. And what about these wheels and tires? Are you set on these?
Not at all.
So we can definitely upgrade that, but still give it that vintage look too.
That's exactly what we want.
So let me guess, no power under the hood.
No, I didn't cut it.
Let's check it out. It's a little underwhelming for sure. I mean, that's definitely not a factory engine, so what is that?
It's a Cavalier 4-cylinder.
No performance there, right?
No power steering, no AC, probably about 2 horsepower. We're wanting to step this up, man.
So underneath the hood needs a little cup of coffee, get its energy up, right?
Yes,
You got
sir.
it.
But I can definitely see why they chose that engine. I mean, it's super tight, confined in here. There's not much room at all, so. But this might take a little bit extra thought on that to see what it actually fit to not take up some of the footwell inside there. So what's going on with the interior? It looks really, really, really nice.
Appreciate it. It's just, man, it's tough to drive. Steering wheel's so big, you know, you feel like you're driving a tractor.
One of the most definite things we need is to upgrade that steering column. Give you a tilt wheel, make it easier to get in and out of. And of course, you know, AC for sure.
It's hot as a pot of coffee in there. We'd like to be iced latte, you know what I mean?
The interior looks good, but no comfort. I think these trucks are probably made for 4-foot tall people back in the day, but we're gonna do what we do, give them as much room and as much comfort as we can possibly put in this little cube. So what you got going on in the back?
Come check it out. We got some really cool ideas, Bill. We have a roaster, and we would love to be able to take it to events and roast coffee so people can smell it. They can experience how you roast coffee. So if there's some way you can incorporate a roaster into the back of the truck, we just think that'd be next level.
That's a cool project, man. I love getting stuff in like this, especially with the history of the truck, history of the company. I definitely get what you guys are wanting to do.
You got 200 people back home in Florida that just can't wait to see what you can do with it.
And I'm ready to get going on it, man. If you guys are ready, let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
We're ready.
Man, I love projects like this. I love that challenge of taking something old and vintage and making it over the top cool. Most of the time, vehicles like this, people just trying to get them looking as close to factory as possible. You're trying to restore them, make them vintage, or, you know, go the rat rod style. There's definitely not a lot of people that attempt to take an old-looking truck and modernize it. So it's challenging to make it still look appealing and not just too gaudy. We're gonna take our time to make those right decisions, put those right parts on, and make them a really cool truck.
Man, this is pretty cool, dude. I like this.
It doesn't look bad.
The motor looks really, really clean, or it's just never been driven.
Man, it runs good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm driving around the parking lot. It's not bad at all.
What's up, fellas? Y'all checking it out?
Yeah, man,
Yeah, man,
this
look
is really
at the little
cool.
bitty old motor in here.
That's a cool truck.
Yeah.
You know, it looks cool cruising in parades and everything now, but they want something a lot cooler.
Why he brought it here.
That's right. We're basically gonna leave the outside alone, but they definitely want some upgrades in the engine compartment and underneath on the suspension. The first thing we're gonna do is just get it on the lift, rip out that old engine trans. I think what would be really cool on this is a diesel.
That's a great idea.
But we're super confined to how much room we have underneath the hood of this, right?
Yeah, there's no room.
So just a 4BT, you know, Cummins 4-cylinder in it would just be really, really cool.
That's going to change this truck dramatically.
For sure. After that, you know, the next thing we got to tackle is suspension. Ripping all this totally out. These old springs, a straight axle, can't have that. They want it to drive good, ride good, so independent front suspension, air on it, of course. We got to have that adjustability. And the same with the back. Ripping out that old axle, new late model, dual wheel axle, disc brakes in the front.
Change it all
Stopping
up.
really good, driving good, riding good.
We're not gonna keep these wheels and tires, are we?
No. Brand new wheels and tires. A 24-inch dually wheel. I think it'll look real cool on this.
That's going to be sick.
Yeah,
That's
real
going to
cool.
grab a lot of attention right away.
Absolutely. So when it pulls up, people are just, wow, man, I got to go check this out. And when they're all around it, checking it out, that's when they're going to hit them with the coffee serving in the back. They got an antique coffee roaster they're going to send to us, and we're going to configure that in the back of this. So it's going to look good, sound good, and it's going to smell pretty good, too.
Well, I can't wait till this thing's done roasting coffee. I'll break it in.
You're not gonna want to give it back.
Y'all ready to do it?
Let's do it, man.
When you're talking about a 31 Ford pickup, you're talking about a vehicle that's over 90 years old. Technology has totally changed from then till now. You know, it's more than tearing down a truck. This is a straight-up history lesson on how cars used to be built.
Oh, that leaf spring was hitting on it, but dang, that thing is real jacked up, huh?
Yeah.
They put a hose clamp over it to keep it all together, look. Damn. I'm surprised that held that long. That's crazy.
Coming out today.
Ready? Yep. we're ready to pull it out now.
Up a little bit. All right, yeah, pick it up.
Oh, brake lines, hold up, hold up, hold up. I don't want to mess their brake lines up, they're perfect. We reuse them. Dude, I got a treasure map. There's a note for extensive. Let's see it. If I didn't have gloves on, this would be way easier. Yeah, it was taped to the bottom of it. Congrats, you found the Mullis Easter egg. Just wanted you guys to know how much we appreciate y'all taking care of old Max. He is special to us, and we know it will be in good hands. Can't wait to see what you guys do to old Max.
You don't see that often.
Yeah, I never see that, huh?
Right on.
Ooh. You good?
Yep. Yeah. Clear.
Woo! That's way more gooder.
You know, Jamie and Ryan did a great job tearing everything out. You know, the next step on this is rebuilding the rear suspension. We're gonna build a 4-link rear suspension with an airbag that holds everything up. So first things first, building that part of the suspension is getting the new hanger. And what the hanger does is connect the frame to the rear end of the truck. So all the stopping, starting, all that torque transfers through to this hanger. So this has to be super strong. So we're gonna build all this out of 1/4-inch material so we won't have any problems. So I have the plate that bolts onto the frame here, and then we're gonna have another plate that goes on the outside, and then we're gonna box all this in. This is gonna be exposed, so people are gonna see this. So I wanna spend a little extra time on this to make it look kind of cool and go with the styling of the truck. Let's go give it to Mr. Jesse. Appreciate you.
So now all I'm gonna do is just try to find something that looks similar to this roundness right here, which I found this. I'll use that. I already know this DOM out here, the ID is 2-inch. So I'll just trace that, and that would help me gather everything together and dry it out even faster and be more accurate with it. Everything looks good, the way I laid it out. So now I'm just ready to cut it out. So these hangers are gonna be different for that Maxwell copy truck. We're trying to make these more of its time, more ornate, like if it came with the truck. Like if they're original parts, you know, that way they can just all flow together and look like they rolled out of the factory like that. All right, so I got the hangers done. They're punched completely all the way through. Now we just gotta clean them up and walk them over to the bill so you can put them on the truck.
A block, spacer, go. We cut, cleaned up the hangers for the rear suspension on the 31 Ford. Now it's time to get them in place. Tell you what we'll do, I want to box this in 100% around. I think that'll look the coolest and keep dirt out, all that out. First things first, what I want to do is probably take our 5.5-inch pipe, then we can just cut a piece here, cut a piece here, there, and then just box the sides into it. Boom. It's gonna be too big.
Okay, so I got all my pieces cut out, got all my pieces bent. So the next thing is go ahead and start fitting them in this shape. Once I fit them to where I like them, go ahead and tack them in, then I weld them out. Okay, so I got them all boxed up, mocked up, everything's tacked together. So I'm gonna drop these off at Max's table. They'll be welded out. What's up, man? Think you can burn these in for me real quick? Okay, so what I'm doing right now is making a bracket for our gusset on our hanger. Basically, our hanger's bolted on the side of our frame, so what I'm doing is making a little attachment for our gusset to hang underneath the frame so to make our hanger very nice and sturdy. So you can see I got my gusset right here on my hanger. You know, this is exactly what this needs to give it the strength, you know, so it can't bend or warp or anything like that. This right here is gonna make this extra, extra, extra strong. So now I got my gusset mount bolted up. All I gotta do, weld it out. That's it. Strong as can be.
Chuck Leaf. No.
We can't get the motor for the GTO in under the door and make everything work. So we're just gonna roll the chassis out of the door, drop the motor down onto the chassis, and then roll it right back onto the lift. So here, hold up. Hey, you just hold that right there. Coming down. Oh, what you think?
It's a lot heavier now. No, that's a hog, boys. Oh. Quit hogging around, dude.
Hogging around, man.
We got the engine and trans installed on the 68 GTO. Now Ryan's running all the lines.
All right, so we dropped the motor in here, and now I can run my fuel lines back to the back. Got the regulator mounted, fuel pump, everything's ready to go, so I'm gonna knock that out real quick. When I run the fuel lines, I like to separate them. I like to do a whip line from the motor to the chassis. Other people think otherwise. They like to do it their way, but it's always better to have one solid line instead of having breaks in your line. Less chances of it having a leak, less places to chase for a leak. All right, so we're at a good point now to get our body all together, get it rolled over here, and put it on the lift and drop it down on the chassis.
All right, so we got our color for our 68 GTO, the light stellar blue metallic, but I think it's gonna look really good. Basically, I'm mixing a lot of different toners. You don't want to go over or less on some colors because it can mess up your formula. That's why we try to mix the whole gallon, because, you know, if we mix little by little here and there, it might come out a little different. But I think what's really interesting about this paint, that we add in all this aluminum, that's what's going to give it that really cool metallic look to it. All right, that's really going to make that color stand out. All right, the color looks good. We're gonna go ahead and apply some sealer. After that, we're gonna come back, paint our car, and see how it looks. We got our 2 coats of base coat. We're gonna go ahead and lay some clear on it. We're gonna have it looking Motor City finest. We're gonna go ahead and let it dry overnight, paint the rest of the parts, and we should have a brand new car.
I'm gonna put these wheel dollies under the chassis, and I'm just gonna move the chassis underneath the GTO and marry the two together.
Even though I've been in this game for a long time, I still get excited when a big build like the 68 GTO comes together.
I start cutting it, cut it hard.
Seeing the finished product in my mind is one thing, but seeing it actually come together is when, you know, I definitely get excited. Today's the day when we're putting the chassis and the body together for the first time.
Just make sure I don't hit the motor on the firewall. If it ain't touching now, it ain't gonna hit. Like right there on the edge, so that should be good. Man, good job. We're gonna go right into that bay. Whoop. Thank you very much. So we got the GTO back over in this bay. Now it's time to do all the sound deadening, get this thing back up on the lift, and start rolling through the whole final process of doing all the fun stuff.
This GTO used to be a drag car originally, but it wasn't, he wanted to drive it, wasn't practical. We went ahead and got the LT4 crate motor, and it's a lot of horsepower, but it's just not enough. So we're gonna go ahead and make some changes, change some engine parts, and make it come alive, but still be a daily driver, streetable car with some good power under the hood. So we're gonna start by taking off our whole front assembly. A lot of the Chevy stuff, the basics of them are the same back to like the carbureted 350 days. I'm not sure on the LT, but I know on the LS is up until 2013. You could take a transmission from a 72 Chevy and bolt it right up to it, for the most part. I've been honestly messing with it since I was a kid. I was young. My grandpa was a mechanic, my dad, most of my uncles. So I just kind of always been around it. It's not really something I chose to do. It's something that I just grew up doing. I still do it, so I don't hate it, I guess. This is the AC compressor. So I guess I'm gonna go ahead and pull the crankshaft pulley now. So now that we got our front assembly all torn off, we're gonna start taking off the blowers so we can get to our heads and get those pulled off next. We're gonna go ahead and now take our fuel rails off and fuel lines so we can get these heads pulled off. Just kind of paying attention to how it came apart is one of the main things. Always gotta pay attention to what you're doing, especially if it's a motor you haven't done before. It makes the reassembly a lot easier. Once the heads come off, the motor looks tiny, and the kind of horsepower it makes is even crazier for something so small. We're gonna go ahead and pull our lifter trays out and get our lifters out. And then we're gonna pull our front cover and get our camshaft out. This is the oil pump. And you gotta be careful when pulling these out, because see that right there? That's a bearing. So if you're too rough with it, you could push those bearings out. Now we're done with the disassembly. We're gonna go ahead and get all our mating surfaces cleaned up and then put our heads on it and basically build our motor backwards. This thing's gonna be a beast for sure.
Oh, yeah. Jamie, stuff just showed up for the Maxwell house. They sent us over a nice little grinder here, and then that's the roaster that we're going to be roasting the beans in.
This thing's massive right here. I don't know how that's gonna fit in the back of the truck.
That's what you and Bill are known to do, to make magic happen.
Because Maxwell House is going to use old Max in many events, they wanted a roaster and a grinder in the truck. But what they sent is way too big for the bed. So we need to change things up and build them a trailer. You know, the only thing is there's no hitch, so I guess we got to make one.
So all the machinery is so heavy and big, we're gonna go ahead and put a receiver hitch in here now. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and put some C-channel right here on top of the frame. Then we'll have a piece of 4-inch boxed in with the C-channel. Then we'll have the drop down with the slide. All right, so I got my piece of C-channel here cut, squared up. Next thing is start cutting this 3x4 into place. This is gonna be the end of it where our receiver hitch goes into. So I'm gonna miter it in between these pieces of C-channel. So once I get these cut out, I'll go ahead and test fit it. If I know it fits the way I want it to, I'll go ahead and start putting these on the truck.
For the back end of the hitch, we're going to add a receiver tube, so it's going to be super strong. That way they can haul as much coffee as they want.
Bill just lining this up for me, so fixing to cut it right now and get it all welded out. All right, I got my hitch. It's solid, looks good. Now I'm gonna add these gussets to it. It's gonna reinforce it and make it a lot better and stronger. Now I got my gussets in here in place. Now I'm gonna put it all the way around. It's gonna look good.
We got the custom hitch on the 31 Ford finished. Now we're gonna make some side plates that attach to the frame to secure the hitch to the truck.
You know, because this is wood and metal, we can't just weld this. You know, it's gonna burn, everything's gonna catch on fire. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a plate right here. I'm gonna sandwich this plate between our C-channel for our receiver hitch. What I'm gonna do right now is bring it to Jesse. I need 2 of these, man. And the holes, I mean, you can make them just a tad bigger, but I need 2 of these out of 3/16.
So I got it all drawn out. It looks good. So now we're just ready to cut it out.
Okay, just got my plates back from Jesse. Everything looks really good. I'm gonna go ahead and test fit them real quick, make sure everything's the way I want it. After that, we'll go ahead and start drilling them. All right, now I got my marks. Can drill everything in now. I established where my holes are gonna go now from my plate to my frame. So I'm gonna go ahead and punch these real quick, drill them out, bolt them back up, through punch them, take the plate back off, drill the frame, and everything should line up. So you can see the frame and the wooden frame of the bed are offset. So only thing to do is go ahead and cut it all the way down the middle of our piece that I had Jesse burn out. So then we're gonna go ahead and come back in here with a strip, weld it in, so we'll have a nice little shape to it, contoured on each side. So it's almost like a saddle. That's gonna hold it right in place. It's bolted through and through. It's bolted to our drop hitch. That's the way to go.
Now that the side plates are mocked up, we realized the strip connecting the top and the bottom plate just really didn't give us the seamless look we were looking for.
So the top piece wasn't gonna work. And instead of welding a little piece in, I went ahead and remade the top piece and put a bend right in it so it can meet the same angle that I need. You know, problems come up here all the time. Let me rephrase that. Problems happen when you're working on vehicles all the time. You know, you can only think of so much stuff, but you can't ever think of everything. You're gonna have issues and you just have to adapt and overcome.
When you're making things by hand like we do, most builds don't go exactly how you first thought. Once we realized we needed a trailer for this thing, we had to make a tow hitch. From here, we need that custom suspension and the bed. Putting in the new 4BT diesel engine under the hood, and then get to customizing a trailer. Building a custom vehicle is never a straight line path, but I really like the direction we're heading in on this one.
We got our C-channel in, our plates on the side. Last but not least is our receiver hitch right here. Got it stitched up right now, so the receiver hitch is mocked up.
We stripped the LT4 motor on the 68 GTO. Now it's time to give this thing even more power.
We're gonna go ahead and start with the fun stuff and get all the new, more power parts put in. We're gonna start with the camshaft first, and then we'll get our timing chain in there, set our timing, and then move on from there. It's set up different than the stock to create more horsepower. This one's got higher profiles. The lobe separations are a little different. It's a bigger cam to create more power. The specs on it are set up for a blower motor. So right here is our timing chain and oil pump gear. So what that does is when you put this together, it keeps the motor in time so the valves open when they need to open and not too soon or not too late. So if that piston's at the top and the cam's not timed right, and that either break a valve or destroy the piston, and we don't want that for sure. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get rid of these factory DOD lifters and go ahead and put our new, just standard LS7 lifters in it. So what the DOD does is allow the computer to shut down 4 cylinders of the motor to make it more fuel efficient, but in this case, we're not looking for fuel efficient, we're looking for power. These are our new heads right here. We got bigger intake valves, exhaust valves. They opened them up and smoothed them out so the airflow will be greater and it'll flow smoother. These bolts right here are actually stronger, like the factory style bolts, or they call them like stretch to yield. So when you're torquing them, the bolts actually stretch out. So when you have boost in a motor, it can cause the head gasket to blow. So with these bolts right here, they don't stretch. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and put our new push rods in. They came with our cam kit, and these are a different length because the profiles on the cam are different. If these are too long, it's gonna open the valve too much, which could possibly hit the piston and cause catastrophic failure for sure. So it's real important that your push rod length matches your cam setup. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and install our new rocker arms. So the difference between these and the factory ones is it's got a roller on the end of it where it actually pushes the valve straight down, as opposed to these kind of come in and put a side load on the valve before they open the valve. If you put too much side load on the valve, especially at high RPMs, there's a good chance it'll snap the valve and drop it in the motor. That's the end of that. It's actually starting to look like a motor, a fast motor too. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna spin the motor over a few times just to make sure there's no issues, everything spins freely, and I put some gas in it, it might start like the old motors where you had to spin them. And then we'll go ahead and get all our tin on the outside of it. Put our valley pan on, valve covers on, front cover, and pan on, just get this motor all closed up and ready to hit the street. So the LT4 was already a great engine, a great platform to start with, but the parts we add are definitely going to increase the horsepower, and the performance is going to be top notch. Especially it'll be a streetable car. That's the nice thing, but still have some power to rip down the road. But it looks good internally and externally, so can't wait to get this thing together and see what it's going to really do. Hi, my name's Matt Lipp. I do a lot of the motor and electrical stuff here at Extensive. I've been doing this now for 20 plus years since I was a kid. Kind of just took stuff apart, figured out how to put it together the wrong way first, and then got taught the right way. And that's just kind of how it evolved into what I do now. The thing I like about engine and wiring work is it's always something new. 350 horsepower 15 years ago was impressive, but now we're building stuff that's 1,000, 1,500 horsepower. It keeps going and going with the technology now. Like, I always got to make sure I'm on point and keep up with all the new technology, everything that comes out, so I know what it'll take to make the motor better. Now it's lean, mean, and ready to be seen. The payoff for me is just the self-satisfaction. Like, I don't do stuff for other people to say, oh, like, good work. It's more for my pleasure. Like, I like to know I took something on that was hard, and I accomplished it and made it come together. It just worked in the end. Like, that's really what I enjoy doing about it the most. Got it.
What's good, Carlos?
Hey, Stephanie, what you doing?
How you doing?
I heard you were coming in.
Yeah, I'm here to check on my dad's 49 Ford.
Well, it's not done yet, but it's a lot further along than what you dropped it off. I mean, when you did, I didn't know if I had to get them tetanus shots or not. But, you know, the guys have done so much work, you know, that custom frame that they put on there, that new independent rear suspension. Mm-hmm. You are going to be impressed with that.
I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Bill's out in the body shop right now. There's a GTO that they're just pulling out.
Okay.
If you want, I could go grab him for you real quick.
No, it's all good. I can go find him and see what's happening outside.
All right. Well,
okay.
Enjoy.
Good to see you.
All right, you too.
Man, Edgar, it's really starting to look good, man. We finally got the body back on the chassis. We're in a good spot, man.
Yeah, man, we're getting real close to putting this car together. It's gonna look real great, man.
Hi. Nice to see you.
Hey, good to see you. Edgar, you met Stephanie?
All right, hi, nice to meet you.
Give me just a second.
All right, man.
Hey, thank you for coming in. You know, I want to go over a couple things with your dad's truck. You know, I need you to pick and choose a couple of things. So Appreciate you coming down.
Absolutely, but before we do that, what do we got going on here with this timeless beauty?
Man, this is a real cool car. It's a 68 Pontiac GTO. This has been in two brothers' family for about 40 years they've had it.
Wow.
We know what this car means to them, so we're definitely gonna take our time and make sure every part and piece is 100% right.
Yeah, these old GTOs are super cool. I love old muscle cars.
Yeah, me too.
So which one was worse when I brought the truck in? My dad's truck or this car?
You definitely won on that one. This car was in really good shape when it came in. You know, it was a time capsule pretty much. But they wanted a car that they could just get in, has a whole lot of power, but still drive it wherever they want and look good doing it. So we just tore it all apart. We made a whole new frame from front to back.
So you built the whole frame from scratch?
Every part and piece, every bit of the suspension, I mean, everything that's underneath the car is all handmade.
Wow.
If you're gonna be customizing a car to this extent, first thing you gotta do is start with the new frame.
So you're not bagging this one?
Nope, they wanted just a static, low look, so it's got coilovers all the way around, so you can just get in and go.
Are these the wheels for the finished ride?
Man, it is.
Yeah?
I love the look of them. You know, it's a 20-inch wheel, so it's not too big. You know, being a coilover suspension, you don't have that adjustability, so we can't go too big and have the car too low or you won't be able to turn. So a 20-inch wheel for this fits perfect. You know, the brothers grew up racing in this car. They had a race engine in it. So the challenge was finding an engine with a whole lot of power, but the reliability that they want to be able to drive it wherever they want. So brand new crate LT4, about 600 plus horsepower in it. You know, it'll definitely do whatever they want to do.
They're gonna be fighting over who's driving.
Absolutely. But one other cool thing, when you pop the hood on this, you're not gonna see anything but the supercharger. Everything else is all paneled off, so it's sheet metal panels all throughout the engine. You won't see anything.
Right.
So it's gonna look really cool. When you pop the hood, it's just all body color, all underneath the hood.
Wow, that's gonna be really cool. You open up the hood and see all the custom metalwork. I think that's gonna look super rad. The color is amazing. It's probably my favorite. Looks like a blue sky.
Well, the original color was blue, but, you know, we had to wake that up a little bit.
Well, this looks amazing. What else do you have to do to it?
Man, we've done a ton of work up to this point, but, I mean, we still got a lot to do. I mean, of course, getting the body all fit and finished, and then taking it over to the interior shop and letting John do his thing. So he's got his hands full with this one for sure.
Looks like it.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to get this thing done. This GTO has been a lot of work for everybody in the shop, but it's looking good. I mean, there's pieces to this car everywhere, but trust me, when you see it all together, everybody's gonna be blown away. This is something special for these two brothers. You know, it's been in their family for 40 plus years. They've had it their whole lives. So we really want to take the time to make sure we're building this perfectly for them, and it stands out from any other 68 GTO. You know, that way they can enjoy it for another 40 years.